In a small town, where everyone knew everyone else, there was a lively young girl who loved to joke and tease people. She had a smile that could light up any room and laughter that was infectious. She was clever and full of mischief, always finding ways to make life more fun for herself and the people around her. Everyone in town liked her because she was kind, but no one could ignore her playful spirit. One sunny afternoon, the girl found herself in the community hall, a place where people often gathered for small events, music, and games. The hall was full of familiar faces, neighbors chatting, children running around, and a few elderly people quietly enjoying the day. In the corner, the janitor was tidying up, moving silently from one task to another. No one really paid much attention to him. He was always there, quietly working, unnoticed by most. But he had a secret. He had a love for music, especially the piano. Though no one in town knew, he had spent years learning to play, practicing in small moments when no one was around. He loved the sound of the keys under his fingers and the way music could make people feel something deep and real. The girl, noticing the piano in the corner of the hall, leaned against a table and started joking with the people around her. She had always been playful and bold, never afraid to speak her mind. She laughed and said, "I will marry anyone who can play this piano well. Come on, try it. Show me something amazing." The words were said in jest, meant to make everyone laugh. She didn't actually expect anyone to take her seriously. Everyone around chuckled, thinking it was just another one of her fun jokes. The janitor, quietly sweeping the floor, heard her words. He paused for a moment, letting the broom rest in his hands. He had never performed in front of anyone, and he had never thought about showing his talent to the town. But something in the girl's playful challenge sparked a feeling inside him. He wondered if he could actually play and show what he had learned over the years. The thought made his heart beat a little faster, a mix of excitement and nerves. People continued laughing and chatting, not noticing the janitor as he slowly walked toward the piano. His footsteps were soft, and his face showed quiet determination. The girl noticed him and laughed even louder, thinking it was impossible that he could play anything impressive. She leaned back in her chair, smiling and shaking her head, sure that this would be the funniest moment of the day. The hall became a little quieter as people turned to see the janitor at the piano. Some whispered to each other, wondering what he would do. The girl's laughter filled the room, teasing, joking, "Go ahead, play something beautiful, and maybe you will win me over." The words were still playful, but the janitor's eyes showed he was taking them seriously. He wasn't doing it for marriage or for attention. He was doing it to share something he loved, something he had kept hidden for so long. He sat down slowly on the piano bench, adjusting it just enough to feel comfortable. The hall became completely silent, as if everyone sensed that something unexpected was about to happen. Even the children stopped running around and looked curiously at the piano. The janitor took a deep breath and placed his fingers on the keys. His hands moved gently at first, exploring the familiar surface, and then he began to play. The first notes filled the hall, soft and clear. People gasped softly, not expecting such a sound to come from someone they had always ignored. The melody was beautiful, delicate, and full of feeling. The janitor's fingers moved with grace and skill, creating music that spoke directly to the heart. The girl stopped laughing for a moment, her eyes widening in surprise. She had never imagined that anyone in the hall could play like this, least of all the quiet janitor she had always overlooked. The music seemed to carry through every corner of the hall, reaching everyone's ears and touching everyone's hearts. The girl leaned forward, listening closely, unable to hide her amazement. She realized that her playful joke had turned into something much more meaningful. The janitor was not just playing. He was telling a story through the piano, sharing his soul in a way that words could never do. As the melody continued, the laughter and chatter from before disappeared completely. People held their breath, completely absorbed in the unexpected performance. The janitor's eyes were focused on the keys, but there was a gentle smile on his face. He was not performing for applause or recognition. He was playing because it was a part of who he was. The music was pure, heartfelt, and mesmerizing. The girl, who had been the one to challenge him, felt a strange mix of emotions. She felt joy, surprise, and admiration all at once. She realized that she had underestimated him, and that her playful dare had brought out a talent she had never known existed. The room, once full of playful jokes and laughter, had transformed into a place of wonder and awe. When the last note echoed and faded into silence, the hall remained quiet for a moment. Then, slowly, people began to clap, softly at first, and then with more enthusiasm. The girl joined in, clapping her hands and smiling widely. She had never expected to witness something so beautiful. The janitor stood up, a little shy but proud, and bowed slightly to the audience. He had not only played the piano, he had captured the hearts of everyone in the room. That day, something changed in the small town. The girl, who loved to joke and tease, learned a lesson about looking beyond appearances and recognizing hidden talents. The janitor, who had always been quiet and unnoticed, became someone the town would never forget. The simple act of playing the piano had turned a playful challenge into a moment of magic that everyone would remember for years. And so, what started as a joke and a playful dare became a true story about surprise, talent, and the joy of sharing what you love. The girl laughed, not because of mockery, but because of amazement. And the janitor, sitting at the piano, had shown everyone that sometimes the most extraordinary things come from the most unexpected places. After the janitor had finished his performance, the hall was still buzzing with excitement. People could not stop talking about the beautiful music they had just heard. The girl, who had initially challenged anyone to play the piano for her, felt a mixture of surprise and admiration. She realized that her playful dare had uncovered something she had never expected. The janitor, who had always been a quiet and unnoticed figure in the town, had shown a talent that left everyone speechless. The girl could not help but watch him as he collected himself. He moved with humility, almost embarrassed by all the attention he was suddenly receiving. Yet, his eyes showed a quiet confidence and satisfaction. He had shared a part of himself that no one in town had ever known. The way he had played the piano was more than just skill. It was a reflection of his patience, dedication, and love for music. It was clear that he had practiced for years in secret, in moments when he was alone, perfecting his craft without expecting anyone to notice. People began to gather around him, asking questions and praising his performance. They wanted to know how he had learned to play so beautifully. Some remembered seeing him quietly tapping the keys when he thought no one was looking, but no one had ever imagined he could play at such a high level. The girl stepped closer, her laughter now replaced by genuine curiosity and admiration. She wanted to know more about the man who had transformed her playful challenge into a remarkable moment. The janitor explained, in a calm and modest tone, that he had always loved music. He spoke about how, as a child, he had been fascinated by the piano but had never had the chance to take formal lessons. Over the years, he had taught himself, using books, listening to recordings, and practicing whenever he could find a quiet moment. His dedication was clear, and it inspired the people around him. They realized that his talent was not just natural. It was earned through years of effort, patience, and a true love for music. The girl listened intently, her admiration growing. She had always loved playful challenges and teasing, but now she understood that there was more to people than meets the eye. She had been so focused on having fun that she had never thought about the hidden depths of those around her. The janitor had quietly carried his passion through years of unnoticed work, never seeking attention, and now, in one performance, he had touched the hearts of everyone present. The children in the hall, who had been running and playing moments before, now sat quietly near the piano, watching in awe. They were fascinated by the way his fingers moved effortlessly across the keys, producing sounds that seemed to tell stories without words. Some of them whispered to each other, amazed that someone they had seen every day as a janitor could create something so magical. The girls smiled at their reactions, realizing that the moment was not just about the music. It was about the way people could surprise each other and the importance of seeing everyone's true potential. As the crowd continued to gather around the piano, the girl began to reflect on her own life and the way she viewed the people in her town. She realized that she had often judged others by what she saw on the surface, assuming that their quiet nature or simple jobs meant they could not achieve extraordinary things. The janitor had proven her wrong in the most beautiful way. His performance reminded her that talent and greatness often reside in unexpected places, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. The janitor, noticing the admiration and curiosity around him, decided to share a few simple lessons he had learned through his journey. He spoke about patience and dedication, about finding joy in practicing and improving, even when no one is watching. He encouraged the young people in the hall to pursue their passions and never be discouraged by what others might think. His words were humble but powerful, resonating deeply with everyone who heard them. It became clear that his story was not just about music. It was about perseverance, self-belief, and the courage to follow one's heart. The girl, inspired by his words, began to see a new side of herself. She realized that playful challenges could be more meaningful than she had imagined, and that they could bring out the best in people if approached with the right attitude. She felt grateful for the janitor's performance, not only for the beautiful music, but for the lesson it had taught her about respect, admiration, and recognizing the talents hidden in others. She understood that laughter and joy could coexist with appreciation and sincerity, creating moments that were both fun and meaningful. As the afternoon progressed, the hall was filled with conversation, laughter, and music. The janitor agreed to play a few more melodies, each one more captivating than the last. The audience listened intently, some closing their eyes to fully absorb the sound. The girl, standing nearby, could not stop smiling. She had been part of something extraordinary, a moment that would be remembered and shared for years. She felt a sense of connection with the janitor and the people around her, realizing that music had the power to bring people together in ways that words could not. Throughout the day, the girl and the janitor continued to interact, sharing stories and laughter. She learned more about his life, his struggles, and his dedication to music. He, in turn, was grateful for the opportunity to share his passion with an audience that truly listened and appreciated his talent. Their bond grew stronger, built on mutual respect and admiration, and it became clear that the playful challenge had led to something much deeper, a genuine understanding and connection between two very different individuals. By the end of the day, the hall had transformed from a place of casual gatherings into a space of inspiration and wonder. People left with smiles on their faces, talking about the unexpected performance and the valuable lessons they had learned. The girl, once focused on playful jokes, now carried a new sense of respect for the people around her. She had learned that everyone has hidden talents, and that even the quietest and most unnoticed individuals can achieve greatness if given the chance. The janitor, returning to his work with a quiet sense of pride, knew that his life had changed. He had shared his love for music in a way he never had before, and the impact on the town was undeniable. People began to see him differently, not just as the janitor who cleaned the hall, but as a gifted musician and a source of inspiration. His story became a reminder to everyone that true talent and dedication often go unseen until the right moment arrives, and that moments of courage and passion can change lives in unexpected ways. The girl, reflecting on the day, realized that her playful dare had turned into a life-changing experience for both herself and the janitor. She had laughed, teased, and challenged, but in the end, she had discovered the beauty of hidden talent and the power of sharing one's passion. The day had started with a joke, but ended with inspiration, connection, and a newfound appreciation for the quiet heroes in their town. From that day forward, the girl carried with her the memory of the janitor's performance and the lessons it had taught her. She continued to bring joy and laughter to those around her, but she also approached people with more understanding and respect. She knew that behind every quiet smile and unnoticed figure, there could be a story of talent, dedication, and heart waiting to be discovered. The janitor had shown her that magic can happen when we least expect it, and that life's most remarkable moments often come from the most unexpected places. And so, the playful challenge that had started with a joke became a true story of surprise, admiration, and inspiration. The janitor's music touched the hearts of everyone in the hall, and the girl's laughter turned into appreciation. Together, they created a memory that would be cherished, a reminder that greatness can be found in the most ordinary of people, and that sometimes, a simple dare can lead to the most extraordinary moments of all. The next day in the small town, word of the janitor's piano performance had spread like wildfire. Everyone seemed to be talking about it, from shopkeepers to children on the streets. People were amazed that someone they had always overlooked could play so beautifully. The girl, who had first teased and laughed at the idea, found herself being greeted with nods, smiles, and curious glances everywhere she went. The memory of the janitor's music stayed with her, and she realized that the story was far from over. She walked through the town square, thinking about how quickly life could surprise someone. Just a day ago, she had made a playful challenge without expecting any serious results. And now, the whole town seemed to view the janitor with new respect. The girl felt a mix of excitement and curiosity. She wanted to see what would happen next and how the janitor would respond to this sudden attention. She also wondered if there was more to his story that no one had yet discovered. Meanwhile, the janitor went about his daily routine as quietly as ever. He cleaned the hall, arranged chairs, and made sure everything was in order, just like any other day. Yet, there was a noticeable difference. People no longer walked past him without notice. Some paused to offer kind words or ask for advice, while others simply stared in awe at someone they had underestimated for so long. The janitor appreciated the recognition, but he remained humble. His goal had never been fame or praise. He simply loved music and wanted to share it. One afternoon, the girl returned to the community hall. She had a plan. She wanted to encourage the janitor to perform again, not just for the town, but to help him feel confident in his talent. She approached him quietly, trying not to startle him. "Would you play for us again?" she asked, smiling gently. "People loved it yesterday, and I think they'd love to hear more." The janitor paused, considering her request. He had always been hesitant about performing in front of others, even though he had a deep passion for music. But seeing the girl's genuine interest and the way the town had reacted yesterday, he felt a spark of courage. He nodded slowly, a small smile forming on his lips. It wasn't about being celebrated. It was about sharing something beautiful that had been hidden for so long. As he prepared to play, the girl stepped aside and whispered encouragement. The hall filled with familiar faces once more, eager to hear him again. Children sat cross-legged on the floor, elders leaned in closer, and friends stood quietly, waiting to experience the music. The janitor placed his fingers on the keys, feeling the familiar texture and the smooth resistance beneath his touch. He took a deep breath and began to play. This time, his music was more confident and expressive. The melody carried more depth, more emotion, as though he was telling a story with each note. The hall fell silent, completely captivated by the sound. The girl watched, her eyes wide, as the music filled every corner of the room. She had never heard anything like it, and she realized that this moment was more than just entertainment. It was a reminder of the beauty and talent that can exist quietly in the world, waiting for the right moment to shine. As the janitor continued, people felt a connection to the music that went beyond hearing. Some felt joy, others nostalgia, and some even a gentle sadness. It was as if the piano was speaking directly to each person's heart. The girl noticed tears in the eyes of a few neighbors, and she felt a warmth spread through her own chest. She understood then that the music was more than a skill. It was a gift that could touch lives. When the last note finally faded, the hall remained quiet for a heartbeat before applause broke out. This time, it was louder and more heartfelt. The janitor looked up, humbled by the response, but he didn't let it change him. He simply nodded, acknowledging the appreciation while staying true to his humble nature. The girl clapped alongside everyone else, feeling proud and grateful that she had encouraged him to play again. After the performance, the girl stayed behind to talk to the janitor. She asked about his journey, about how he had learned to play, and what had inspired him to continue despite the long years of practice in solitude. He shared stories of late nights practicing after work, of struggles to perfect certain pieces, and of the joy he felt every time he finally mastered a difficult melody. She listened intently, realizing how much dedication and love it took to achieve what he had done. The girl began to see the janitor in a new light. No longer just a quiet figure in the background. He was someone with depth, passion, and resilience. She felt a strong sense of respect and admiration. In her mind, she reflected on how easy it had been to underestimate someone based on appearances, and she promised herself to be more mindful and open in the future. Word of the second performance spread quickly. People who hadn't been in the hall yesterday came to see the janitor play. He became a symbol of hidden talent and perseverance. The girl noticed how inspired the younger generation was, watching someone achieve greatness quietly, without seeking recognition. Many of the children approached the piano after his performance, asking questions and expressing interest in learning music themselves. The janitor encouraged them, offering tips and advice with patience and kindness. As days turned into weeks, the girl continued to interact with the janitor, learning more about life, patience, and the joy of following one's passion. She realized that her playful challenge had evolved into something far greater than she had imagined. It had sparked a journey of inspiration for the entire town, bringing people together through music, admiration, and shared experience. Through it all, the janitor remained humble, never letting fame or attention change him. He continued to work quietly in the hall, playing music for anyone who wanted to listen, and guiding young learners who were inspired by his story. The girl continued to laugh and play, but now her laughter was mixed with wisdom and respect. She had discovered that true joy comes not just from fun, but from recognizing and celebrating the talents and passions of others. And so, the town continued to talk about the janitor and his incredible skill. The girl's playful dare had become the catalyst for a story of admiration, learning, and inspiration. The janitor's music touched hearts, changed perspectives, and reminded everyone that hidden talent can flourish when given the right opportunity. The girl and the janitor, from their different walks of life, had created a story that would be remembered for years. A story of laughter, humility, and the transformative power of music. Weeks passed since the janitor's first performance, and the town continued to buzz with excitement about his talent. People who had missed the initial performance now made it a point to attend whenever he played. The girl, who had once challenged anyone to impress her with music, now eagerly awaited each chance to hear the janitor perform. Her playful laughter had transformed into admiration and respect, and she found herself learning from him more than she ever expected. One afternoon, the girl decided to organize a small gathering in the community hall. She wanted to create a special moment, a time when the janitor could perform and share his gift with as many people as possible. She sent out invitations to neighbors, friends, and anyone she thought would enjoy the music. The response was overwhelming. Everyone wanted to witness the janitor's extraordinary talent firsthand. On the day of the gathering, the hall was filled with excitement. People chatted eagerly, sharing their memories of his previous performances. Children ran around, trying to get the best view of the piano, while older neighbors whispered about the beauty of the melodies they had heard before. The girl stood near the front, her eyes scanning the crowd, feeling a mixture of anticipation and pride. She had never imagined that a playful joke could lead to such a meaningful event. The janitor arrived quietly, carrying himself with the same humility he had always shown. He greeted the people with a nod and a gentle smile, acknowledging the crowd without any hint of pride or arrogance. He approached the piano, adjusting the bench with careful precision. The room grew silent as he placed his fingers on the keys. Everyone could feel the tension in the air, a mix of curiosity, anticipation, and excitement. They were about to experience something extraordinary. As he began to play, the music flowed effortlessly from the piano. The melody was soft at first, then gradually grew stronger, carrying a range of emotions that seemed to touch everyone in the hall. The girl watched in awe, noticing how every note seemed to tell a story. The janitor's fingers moved with skill and grace, creating music that was both powerful and delicate. The crowd was captivated, completely absorbed by the sound. People listened with rapt attention, some closing their eyes to fully immerse themselves in the music. The children, usually full of energy, sat quietly on the floor, mesmerized by the notes that filled the hall. The older neighbors leaned forward in their seats, smiles of admiration spreading across their faces. Even the girl, who had been so playful and teasing, felt a deep sense of respect and wonder. She realized that this was more than just a performance. It was an experience that touched the heart. As the music continued, the janitor's expression revealed his connection to the piano. He played not for recognition or praise, but because he loved it. Each note was a reflection of years of dedication and practice, a story of patience and perseverance. The girl noticed the care and attention he gave to every movement, and she felt inspired by his devotion. She understood that true passion is something that cannot be forced or rushed. It grows quietly, nurtured by time and commitment. When the final note echoed through the hall, there was a moment of silence. The audience held their breath, absorbing the beauty of what they had just heard. Then, slowly, applause erupted, growing louder and more enthusiastic with each passing second. The girl clapped along, her heart full of admiration. She looked at the janitor, who stood humbly, acknowledging the appreciation without letting it change his nature. After the performance, people approached the janitor to express their gratitude and admiration. They asked questions about his journey, how he had learned to play, and what had inspired him to continue. The janitor spoke modestly, sharing stories of long hours of practice, small triumphs, and the joy he found in music. He encouraged the younger audience members to pursue their own passions, emphasizing the importance of patience, dedication, and love for what they do. The girl listened carefully, absorbing every word. She realized that this experience was teaching her more than she had expected. She had always loved fun and laughter, but now she understood the deeper value of effort, perseverance, and humility. She felt grateful to have witnessed the janitor's journey and to have learned from his example. The playful challenge she had once issued had become a profound lesson in life. Over the next few days, the town continued to celebrate the janitor's talent. People spoke of him with admiration and respect, sharing stories of his performances and the emotions they evoked. The girl noticed how the town had changed. People were more attentive, more willing to see the value in quiet, unnoticed individuals. The janitor had become a symbol of hidden talent and the power of following one's passion, inspiring everyone who heard his story. The girl and the janitor began spending more time together, discussing music, life, and the importance of encouraging others. She learned that even the smallest acts of kindness and recognition could have a profound impact on someone's life. She also discovered that by offering support and encouragement, she could help others shine in ways she had never imagined. Through it all, the janitor remained humble and focused on his love for music. He continued to practice daily, always seeking to improve, not for fame, but for the joy it brought him and those who listened. The girl admired his dedication and began to see her own life through a new lens, understanding that true greatness often comes from quiet, persistent effort rather than loud, attention-seeking gestures. As the days turned into weeks, the girl continued to organize small gatherings and encourage the janitor to share his talent. Each performance brought new inspiration, drawing people closer together and creating a sense of community and shared appreciation. The hall, once a simple space for meetings and events, had transformed into a place of wonder and learning, where music and human connection flourished. The girl reflected on how much had changed since the day she had made a playful challenge. What had started as a joke had grown into a journey of discovery, respect, and inspiration. She had learned the importance of recognizing hidden talents, supporting others, and approaching life with curiosity and admiration. The janitor, through his music, had not only touched the hearts of the town, but had also helped the girl grow in ways she had never expected. In the end, the town had learned a valuable lesson, that everyone has hidden strengths and talents waiting to be discovered. The girl had discovered the joy of encouraging others and the beauty of seeing someone shine. The janitor had shown the power of dedication, humility, and passion. Together, they had created a story that would be remembered for years, a story of laughter, learning, and the magic that can happen when people are given the chance to reveal their true selves. The girl's laughter returned, But it was different now. It carried warmth, respect, and understanding. She laughed not just for fun, but in appreciation of the beauty around her and the lessons she had learned. And the janitor, quietly playing his piano in the community hall, continued to inspire everyone, proving that extraordinary talent often comes from the most unexpected places, and that sharing one's passion can change lives in ways no one could have imagined. The town continued to buzz with excitement about the janitor's music. People who had never noticed him before now spoke of him with admiration. The girl, who had first challenged someone to play the piano, had become one of his biggest supporters. She had learned a lot about patience, talent, and the power of encouragement. Her laughter had changed from playful teasing to deep appreciation for the beauty and dedication she saw in others. One day, the girl came up with an idea. She wanted to create a small concert for the janitor, where everyone in the town could come and listen to his music. She spoke to neighbors, friends, and anyone who would help, arranging a day when the community could gather in the hall. The idea spread quickly, and soon the entire town was looking forward to it. People were curious, excited, and inspired to see the janitor play again. On the day of the concert, the hall was packed. Children sat on the floor, leaning forward with wide eyes. Adults whispered excitedly, remembering the first performance and eager to see what new melodies he would create. Even those who had been skeptical before now felt a sense of anticipation. The girl stood near the front, her heart full of excitement and pride. She had played a small part in bringing this moment together, but she also knew the janitor's talent was the real reason everyone was there. The janitor entered quietly, greeting a few familiar faces with a nod and a gentle smile. He walked to the piano, adjusting the bench and placing his fingers on the keys. The hall fell silent. Everyone waited, sensing that something special was about to happen. The girl watched closely, her eyes focused on the janitor's hands as they hovered over the keys. She could see the calm confidence in his posture, the quiet concentration that had always been part of his character. He began to play. The first notes were soft, delicate, and full of emotion. The hall was immediately captivated. People listened in awe, feeling the music reach into their hearts. The girl noticed how every note seemed to tell a story of years spent practicing in quiet, of passion and dedication, of a love for music that had never faded. The children sat perfectly still, mesmerized by the sound, while the adults leaned forward, trying to absorb every detail. As the melody continued, the janitor's confidence grew. His fingers moved with ease, producing a harmony that seemed to fill every corner of the room. The music was not only beautiful but also moving. Some people felt joy, others felt a gentle sadness, and some felt both at the same time. The girl realized that the music had the power to make people feel deeply, to connect them in ways words could never do. She smiled, knowing that she had witnessed something truly special. After a few pieces, the janitor paused for a moment, letting the audience absorb what they had just heard. The room was silent, but it was not empty. Everyone's hearts were full, and their minds were thinking about the story the music had told. The girl stepped forward slightly, whispering encouragement to the janitor. He nodded, understanding her support, and continued to play, each note more expressive than the last. The music flowed naturally, each piece blending into the next. People were captivated, unable to look away. The janitor's skill and emotion made them feel connected to the moment and to each other. Even the girl, who had always loved fun and playful moments, felt moved in a way she had never expected. She realized that the janitor's music was teaching her about more than just talent. It was teaching her about dedication, humility, and the power of sharing one's passion. As the concert continued, the girl noticed how the community was coming together. Neighbors who had rarely spoken were now sharing smiles and glances. Children were whispering about the melodies, and adults were quietly reflecting on the beauty of what they were hearing. The janitor's music had become more than entertainment. It was a shared experience that brought the town closer together. Everyone felt inspired not only by the skill but by the heart behind it. When the final piece ended, there was a moment of stillness. The audience held their breath, savoring the last echoes of the piano. Then, applause erupted, loud and heartfelt. People cheered and clapped, some even whistling, their admiration impossible to contain. The girl joined in, clapping her hands and smiling brightly. She felt proud, not because she had organized the event, but because she had been part of a moment that celebrated talent, dedication, and the joy of sharing. The janitor stood, humbled by the applause, bowing slightly to acknowledge the audience. His modesty had never left him, but his quiet confidence shone through. He had shared a part of himself with the community, and the response was overwhelming. The girl approached him afterward, speaking softly about how amazing he had been. He smiled, thanking her for her support, but made it clear that the music itself was what mattered most, not the praise or recognition. Over the following days, the town continued to celebrate the janitor's talent. People who had missed the concert shared stories of what they had heard, and those who had attended spoke about the emotions the music had evoked. Children tried to imitate some of the melodies on smaller keyboards at home, inspired by the performance. Adults reflected on the lessons of patience, practice, and humility they had witnessed. The girl noticed how the janitor's music had a ripple effect, influencing everyone in different but meaningful ways. The girl also reflected on her own growth. She realized that her playful challenge had been the spark for something much bigger. She had learned the importance of encouragement, the value of recognizing talent in unexpected places, and the power of community. She had laughed, teased, and played, but now she understood the deeper impact that small actions could have on the lives of others. Her admiration for the janitor had grown into genuine respect, and she felt grateful for the opportunity to witness and support his journey. The janitor continued to play regularly, not for fame, but for the joy it brought to himself and the town. The girl continued to attend, sometimes organizing small gatherings or simply enjoying the music. Their friendship deepened, built on mutual respect, shared experiences, and the simple joy of music. She understood that the playful challenge that had started everything had turned into a powerful story of inspiration, patience, and discovery. The town learned an important lesson from the janitor's talent. They realized that everyone has hidden abilities waiting to be seen, and that encouraging and supporting others can reveal amazing potential. The girl carried this lesson with her, applying it in small ways in her own life, always looking for ways to uplift and inspire those around her. The janitor's music had not only changed the town but had also transformed her perspective on life and people. As time passed, the concerts became a regular part of town life. People looked forward to the music, gathering to listen, reflect, and be inspired. The girl continued to laugh and enjoy life, but now her laughter carried warmth, respect, and understanding. She had learned that joy and admiration could coexist, and that the quiet, unnoticed people around us often hold the most extraordinary talents. The janitor, with his humble demeanor and incredible skill, remained a source of inspiration for everyone. He continued to play with passion, dedication, and humility, showing that true greatness comes from the love of what you do, not the desire for recognition. The girl, the town, and even the children who had been inspired by his music knew that they had witnessed something truly special. A playful challenge had turned into a story of respect, growth, and the magic of hidden talent revealed in the right moment. Through all this, the girl and the janitor continued to create memories together. Their bond grew stronger, built on shared experiences, encouragement, and the beauty of music. The town thrived with a new sense of connection and appreciation for one another. The janitor's music had become a symbol of hope, dedication, and the power of pursuing one's passions, while the girl had learned the importance of seeing beyond the surface to appreciate the extraordinary within ordinary people. Together, they created a story that would be remembered for generations, a story of laughter, learning, and the timeless magic of music that brings people together in the most unexpected ways. The days turned into weeks, and the janitor's music had become a treasured part of the town's life. Every time he played the piano, people gathered in the community hall, eager to hear the melodies that had transformed their small town into a place of wonder and inspiration. The girl, who had first teased and laughed at the idea of anyone impressing her with music, had become his closest supporter and friend. She had learned so much from him about patience, dedication, and the beauty of hidden talent. One quiet afternoon, the girl arrived at the hall early. She wanted to help the janitor set up and ensure everything was ready for the audience. The hall was empty for now, giving them a peaceful moment together. The janitor was arranging the piano bench, adjusting it to the perfect height, and the girl watched quietly, feeling a sense of calm and anticipation. She realized that these quiet moments, away from the crowd, were just as important as the performances themselves. As he began to play, the first notes filled the hall soft and gentle. The girl closed her eyes for a moment, letting the music wash over her. She could feel every emotion in the melody, the joy, the patience, the love for music. Each note seemed to tell a story of years spent practicing alone, perfecting his craft, and finally sharing it with the world. She felt grateful that she had been there from the very beginning, witnessing the journey of someone so dedicated and talented. The audience slowly began to arrive, filling the seats and standing along the walls. Everyone was eager to hear the janitor play again. The children, who had become regular listeners, sat in the front row, their eyes wide with excitement. Adults whispered quietly to each other, remembering the first performances and anticipating the music that would soon fill the hall. The atmosphere was filled with energy and warmth, a shared excitement that connected everyone present. The janitor continued to play, his fingers moving effortlessly across the keys. The music was both powerful and delicate, filled with emotion that resonated with everyone in the room. The girl watched him closely, noticing the care and attention he gave to every movement. She felt inspired, realizing that true talent is not just about skill but also about love and dedication. The janitor's passion was evident in every note, and it reminded her that following one's heart and putting effort into something meaningful can change lives. As the performance went on, the girl noticed how the music affected the audience. Some people closed their eyes, letting the melodies transport them to a different place. Others whispered softly to each other, sharing their feelings and thoughts about the music. Children were mesmerized, sitting perfectly still, completely absorbed in the sound. Even the adults, who had seen and heard many things in their lives, felt moved and inspired. The music had a way of touching everyone's heart, creating a connection that words could not. After a few pieces, the janitor paused and looked at the audience. He could see the admiration and curiosity in their eyes, and it made him feel a quiet sense of fulfillment. The girl stepped closer, whispering words of encouragement. He nodded, acknowledging her support, and began to play again. Each note seemed to carry more emotion than before, telling stories of perseverance, patience, and the quiet strength of those who work diligently behind the scenes. The hall was silent except for the sound of the piano. Every note seemed to resonate with the hearts of the listeners. People felt emotions they could not always explain: joy, nostalgia, hope, and a sense of connection to each other and to the music itself. The girl felt a deep sense of admiration for the janitor, understanding that his dedication had created something far greater than entertainment. It had created a shared experience that would be remembered for years. As the final piece ended, there was a moment of silence. The audience held their breath, not wanting to break the magic that had filled the room. Then, slowly, applause began, growing louder and louder until it filled the hall with sound. The girl clapped enthusiastically, smiling brightly. She felt proud, not because of any achievement of her own, but because she had witnessed something extraordinary and had been part of helping it come to life. People approached the janitor afterward, expressing their gratitude and admiration. They asked about his journey, how he had learned to play so beautifully, and what inspired him to continue despite years of unnoticed practice. The janitor spoke modestly, sharing stories of dedication, hard work, and the joy he found in music. He encouraged young listeners to follow their passions, reminding them that perseverance and love for what they do could lead to remarkable outcomes. The girl listened carefully, absorbing every word. She realized that her playful challenge had sparked a story far larger than she had imagined. It had created a ripple effect, inspiring the town, connecting people, and teaching valuable lessons about dedication, humility, and the beauty of hidden talents. She felt grateful for the chance to witness and support the janitor's journey, understanding that the true magic lay in the combination of passion, patience, and the courage to share one's gifts with others. As the day went on, people lingered in the hall, sharing their thoughts and feelings. Children tried to recreate the melodies on smaller keyboards at home, inspired by the performance. Adults reflected on the lessons of patience and dedication they had witnessed. The girl noticed how the community had come together, how people were more attentive, more appreciative of the quiet strengths around them. The janitor had become more than a musician. He had become a symbol of perseverance, humility, and the power of following one's heart. The girl and the janitor spent time together after the audience left, discussing music, life, and the joy of pursuing one's passions. They shared stories, laughter, and reflections, deepening their bond and understanding of each other. The girl realized that the playful dare that had started everything had grown into a meaningful journey of learning and inspiration, touching the lives of many people and transforming her own perspective on life. In the weeks that followed, the community hall became a place of regular gatherings. People came not only to hear the music but also to connect, learn, and be inspired. The girl continued to encourage the janitor, organizing small events and spreading appreciation for his talent. The janitor continued to play, quietly, passionately, and with humility, creating moments of magic that would be remembered and cherished. Through it all, the girl learned valuable lessons about life and human nature. She understood that talent often lies hidden in unexpected places, that encouragement and support can help others shine, and that true greatness comes from dedication, passion, and humility. She carried these lessons with her, applying them in her own life and sharing them with others. The janitor's music continued to inspire the town, connecting people and creating a sense of shared admiration and appreciation. The girl's playful challenge had become a story of transformation, showing that laughter, curiosity, and encouragement can lead to extraordinary outcomes. Together, they had created memories, shared experiences, and a lasting impact on everyone around them. The town would remember the day the janitor played, and how a simple challenge had revealed hidden talent, brought people together, and inspired generations. The girl and the janitor had shown that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when given the chance, and that passion, dedication, and humility are gifts that touch hearts and change lives forever. And so, the story ended not with a joke, but with admiration, inspiration, and a celebration of human potential. The girl continued to laugh and play, but now with understanding and respect. The janitor continued to play the piano, quietly and passionately, sharing his love for music with all who listened. Together, they created a legacy of talent, encouragement, and the enduring magic of discovering the extraordinary in the ordinary.